This music is very cheery and magical. We're heading into 2023 really soon. Things are going to be more magical. Let's just hope that it's a little bit less chaotic. Because I don't know about you, I'm really tired of living in unprecedented times. I know I've said that 1,000 times, but I'm done living in unprecedented times, especially when it comes to the housing market. Just here recently, I have had numerous articles that have been shoved in my face about the foreclosures, and it last week someone even asked me about the big wave of foreclosures that were supposed to be hitting the market, and I answered that question, but I was wondering where it came from because I hadn't heard anybody talk about it in a while. And then, sure enough, as I'm going through articles about the housing market that people are writing, there's numerous articles from all the news sources talking about waiver foreclosures. So we're going to be talking about that today. I do not have a guest this week. It's just me. We're going to have just me. So we're going to go over the articles that had come up. I'm going to put my 2 cents in because I can't help it. I may even put about 3 or 4 more cents in there. But then I want to get your reaction. I actually did a poll on the live stream as well. Make sure you fill out the full poll because it's weird because you hear some people and they're like, yes, I can't wait for the foreclosures to hit. It's like, I mean, and then I ask them, well, is it because you want to buy a house? And a good portion of them are like, no, I just, people shouldn't make that much money on their homes. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make much sense. I don't want people to lose their houses. But as you know, I think that the prices of homes, especially for the what would be considered like the 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, what some people categorize as the starter home, is entirely way too expensive at this moment. The median incomes do not cover the median cost of the average home here in the United States, and at one time it did. And so that to me is a major, major problem. So I'd like to focus on that when I'm talking about things on my channel. When I talk about affordable homes and affordable housing crisis, I'm talking about people being able to find a home with the median income in their area. So, that's what we're getting into today. We have our moderators here and all our regulars. Debbie is here and Lawnmower. I saw Chris Conkle was in here. So welcome, guys. Welcome. It's just me today. So, you can be hard on me. You don't have to be polite today. Nobody has to be polite. It's just me. When we have guests, we have to put on our best behavior. But, when it's just me, we can get into the nitty gritty. Hey, Vivian. It's nice to see you. Nice to see you. So, Eddie, if you would pull up that first article that was in the thumbnail with realtor.com, which I was a little surprised by their headline. So let's go ahead and pull that up on the screen there, my friend. I can see that he's trying to get it up there. Here we go. And it said, foreclosures are surging. Is a repeat of the Great Recession looming? In November, 77,000 properties across the nation received some sort of foreclosure filing, such as a notice of default because a homeowner is behind in the mortgage payments and or auction is scheduled according to recent reports. Real estate data, Adam. That was up 57% compared to a year ago. There were 3,770 completed foreclosures during this month. That's up 67% versus last year. Okay. With such big spikes might seem jarring. It is not a sign of another foreclosure crisis about to hit. During COVID-19 pandemic, there was a foreclosure moratorium in place. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've said all this. For those government-backed mortgages for nearly 2 years, many lenders extended their protections to other borrowers as well to protect the homeowners who lost a job and other income during the pandemic, which is something I said. So the article starts off with, this is going to cause the recession. And then you get to the second paragraph. And then it's like, well, this ain't going to happen. But go ahead, go down a little bit. The result is higher number of foreclosure filings now because proceedings are going forward again. But foreclosures are still lower than the pre-pandemic period. And that is the key. So whenever you're looking at any of these articles and they come out, whether it's realtor.com, please get past the headlines. The thing is that you look at some of these things and they say foreclosures are up 157%. And that makes you feel sick to your stomach. You're like, oh my gosh, we are heading right into the next housing crisis. And well, that like we saw years previous. But then when you start reading it, then like they kind of like sugarcoat that. Well, we it could happen, that it's possible. Well, well, this is what really happened. And well, it could, this could happen again. No, no. And it says there's no doubt loan quality today is far superior compared to the loans that defaulted and triggered the housing market meltdown in the Great Recession. And I've said this 1,000 times too. In the aftermath of the housing crash, many bad loans that ballooned suddenly in size have been eradicated and is now a much harder qualified for a mortgage. Mortgage delinquencies are still lower than historic averages. Another big positive is record high homeowner equity, which I've said, because the equity position of homeowners today is the highest that it's ever been in history. Yeah, that's that. It's currently at $29 trillion. That's about 93% of borrowers in foreclosure have equity in their homes. So some people, and I've noticed this in the last housing crash, that they just like some of them could have walked away and just broke even, right? And they were just so stubborn that they wouldn't file the paperwork, right? Like they could have done it 6 months prior and saved their butt. But they were like, no, we're going to try to work it out. It's possible I could get another job. And I understand when you have hopes that things are going to turn around for you. But when things are starting to look bad and you can't pay your mortgage and you still have equity on it, the time to sell it is right at that moment. You can get back on your feet again and buy a home in the future. But if you have equity and you lost your job and you're not sure when you're going to get another job, it's a good time to just go ahead and put your house on the market so that way you can walk away with a little bit of money in your pocket. But at this moment, if you've had your house for like 4 years, you have a lot of equity in your home. So you might as well sit on that nest egg as long as you can so that way you don't lose it. I would hate for you to get foreclosed on when you had $40,000 in equity in your house and you lose all that. That would be ridiculous. You don't want to do that. Equity is important because homeowners who have it, have the ability and incentives to refinance into a different mortgage, might be easier for them to pay. And if they have to sell, they have a shot at walking away with a little bit of money in their pocket. That's pretty much what I said. I will say this. If you have lost your job and you think that, well, I can refinance, you're not going to be able to refinance if you lost your job. If you lost your job and you get another job, but it's not in the same field that you're in currently, you're going to have a hard time getting somebody to approve you for a refinance. So just to note that. Yeah. Merry Christmas to you, Wes, and all the watchers. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Where are you going, Eddie? Eddie's making it hard for us. Adam's report also notes that foreclosure filings were down 5% compared with October. So that's just last month. That month represented a high point of the year since lenders often pause foreclosure activities in December for the holiday seasons. That is correct. Oh yeah. See, Marcus got it. Clickbait, click headlines, clickbait, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I even wrote that in the description because it's like, you read these, like if you were just one of these people that just read the headlines, and we all know those people, there's all these people. Well, I just read that they're up 157%. I'm like, did you read the whole article? Because that's not what the article like gets into. Anyways, in November, the states were lenders started the highest numbers of foreclosure proceedings, including California with 2,244 starts, Texas with 2,114 starts. So Texas has seen an increase. Florida with 1,709 starts, which is like, honestly, during the last housing crash, like that was like 1,709 in a day in Florida. It was crazy. New York with 1,575 starts. That's simple math. That's simply math. Those states have the highest populations. Okay, so she's saying there's not even that big of a deal, that those numbers from those states, because they have the highest populations. And like I said, when I back in the day when I was younger and I lived in Florida, they had there were so many during that housing crash the last time. It was awful. It was like somebody turned off the lights. One day there was like anybody could put their house on the market and there would be a line around the corner. And it was literally like one weekend later, you saw all these signs go out, open houses, and like nobody showed up. It happened so incredibly fast. But there was no way that our house went up 100%. It was over 100% at the peak of the market. And we lived in a nothing neighborhood. We had bought our house for 135,000. And it was like at the peak, it was 285,000. And it was like a nothing house, like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, ridiculous. In what, 2006? Come on. Anyways, yeah, so here's the data from Adam about the foreclosures. You can see prior to the pandemic that little, and you just zoom in so they can see it right before the pandemic and where it is now, in comparison. And we stayed pretty level on foreclosures, since like for the last what 7 years. What's this number right here? Where do you circle? I can't see that. I have over 50 eyes, Eddie. You know this. You know this. Eddie's so good about pulling up the graphs, but I hadn't seen this one this morning. So that is, yeah, that's the at the end of the first quarter of the 2020. Yeah, the end of the first quarter of 2020, that's when it was the highest we had seen, but we're nowhere near that now. Not even close. Not even close. Thank you so much, Shirley, for the $2.99 super chat. I need a soundbite that says super chat. There's a streamer I watch, and every time somebody super chats, he has that. And he goes super chat. If someone is handy in that and wants to send me an audio file that I can put in there, I would gladly put it into the stream. And he would love to push that button. He has all these sound effects that he has saved that he's just waiting for the perfect moment to use, but it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet. And so the poll suggested, and I asked, if you want the housing market to have a foreclosure crisis, if you wanted to have a foreclosure crisis, I want to see your responses in the chat. Because if I look over here to it's to my right, but I'm like moving this way. Let me know if you want the foreclosures to happen. I think for the majority of people, they don't want necessarily people to be thrown out of their house. I'd like to think humanity's better than that. But I think that most people are in a situation that they're just desperate and they have a good money, they have a good job, they have a good credit, they just can't find a house. And so if they saw some foreclosures that hit the market and they had more selection to look at some of these houses, I think that's what most people would want. Everybody likes a fair and balanced market. Those are my favorite because those are the ways you can negotiate, fairly with the sellers and, for the buyers. Buyers have realistic expectations and so do the sellers. I hate it when it's strictly a buyer's market. I hate it when it's strictly a seller's market. Sure, it makes real estate agents more busy during that time, but it's honestly extremely frustrating because when some people feel like they have a lot of control in their pocket, they can just be downright nasty. And I hate that, on either side, it doesn't matter. Joni Johnson says, question, do you know anything about the corporate housing builds for seniors? Village Corporation in Washington offers affordable new build unit 4-story building starting at $160,000. It's affordable if it's true. Ooh, Eddie, if you could find something out about that, that'd be really interesting. The one thing I will say that I found out, because my parents are in their 80s and I've been looking at senior facilities for them, over like something that isn't necessarily not a nursing home by any means, but something for them to live by close to medical facilities that are over the age of 55. And the one thing I've noticed is like they have this like introductory price, like you can get an apartment where you only pay $160,000 and you're like, yes. But then they have a monthly fee that's $1,500. So you have a mortgage, then you have $1,500. Then they have some other random fees. And then if you want to join any clubs, there's fees. If you want to use their bus, there's fees. It is astronomical. I don't even know how, like, I don't know how people can afford it, honestly. I mean, this is the way that the elderly today, um, what they have to face as far as trying to find accommodations for themselves is scary. It is extremely scary, and, I can see why, most people, a lot of people that I know of, that their parents, anticipated leaving their children with a little bit of money, and at the end, they're completely gone. It's all gone, every penny, last cent, and I know that's really devastating for, parents that wanted to send some off to their kids and grandkids, and they never got that opportunity because the last years of their life, they had to live in a senior community that basically sucked away every bit of money that they had saved up. It's sickening. We have we have learned to monetize pretty much everything, and, Gary Vee has said, uh, "Advertisers ruin everything," and I believe it. I believe it. Advertisers ruin everything. Because, like, I mean, think about even, YouTube. It used to have no commercials. Not that I'm not dogging YouTube. Don't demonetize me for saying this, but, and I thought I thought they were gonna kick me off. But, yeah, I thought that, once they started adding more and more commercials into the videos, I'm like, "Boy, this really stinks." Carefree living with sound beneficial benefits. Village Cooperative. Oh, so it's a condo association. Did you know that the cooperative living is coming to Washington State? Join this free informational seminar near you to discover the benefits of village cooperatives offering active adults 62 and plus. How do they determine who's active? What is there like a guideline on that? And see if it's right for you. New Community Village Cooperative of South Sound, Olympia, Washington. I've not heard of this. I've not heard of it. They have something similar to this. If you've ever heard of the Villages in Florida, it used to be this little tiny town that was actually started as manufactured home parks. Did you know that? Like, most people don't know that, but they were just manufactured home parks along that road. And then all of a sudden it turned into a huge conglomerate as they kept buying more and more land around there. And now it's its own, I think it's its own city now. It's wild. I used to work out there a million years ago. But I'd be interested to hear what they have to say. I would go to that seminar and see what they have to say. Now, I will tell you this, I'll give you a warning. If they're only looking for you to invest and they're constantly hounding you afterwards for this opportunity, do not do that. Do not do that. I've seen lots in the last year of these companies that have come out with these amazing ideas, but the whole strategy is to get people to invest money. Where is the product? Where is the product? And I've noticed that a lot in the modular home building sector. They have these webinars, and once you sign up once, trust me when I tell you, your phone, your emails will blow up constantly. Like 5 more minutes left for you to invest. We've gotten so many, people in this section now. You're going to lose out on this opportunity. Remember what they used to say about blah blah blah. And this is it's constantly pushy. If you're feeling pushed into it, there's a problem. There's a real problem there. So, just FYI, just for your information. Eddie, there was another article that came out with a pretty dramatic headline. I think that was the one that was like 157% increase. What is my home in Florida worth? I can't remember the. Hey, Eddie, do you remember the address of that? I know it was on. I'm going to do a little. I don't know if I have the app on my phone anymore. I can't remember the actual. I don't have the app, but I can't remember the front 4 digits of that thing. Is that? Oh, there it is. $362,100. So, Eddie, we would have made another $232,000 if we stayed at that house. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, god. And it was a nothing. It was like 1,500 square feet. It was a nothing house. Shirley says, question, if a disabled person who pays no taxes under the VA program, if they sell a home before the 2 years, are they subject to capital gains tax because their disability check is not considered income? This would be a question for a lender. I do not know what the requirements are for their prepayment penalties, and you would have to check that with them. I would be giving you bad information if I was to answer that for you. But that is a good question. Thank you, Shirley, for that. I'm sorry I couldn't answer it for you. Brian Thomas says, question, do you think the rise in interest rates will not affect the prices on houses and the ability for sellers that turn into buyers will not be able to get a favorable new mortgage? So the anticipation is going into 2023. They're expected to see interest rates dip into the fives. And there's signs of that already happening. They're in the sixes. They've been in the sixes for over a week now. And that's because the bond market is doing so well. And every time the bond market does so well, then the interest rates go down. I had said that this past year, which we're almost done with, was going to be the year of the great stagnation, where there wasn't a lot of activity. And to my credit, I'll give a little pat on my back, I was pretty much right. In most of the United States, except for those really high areas like Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, but Florida's still going up, by the way. They still haven't seen those areas, those bigger areas that had the huge spike, are seeing price reductions come down. But for the most part, in the rest of the United States, we've seen nothing but stagnation. There isn't a lot of price moving or shifting. And in most areas, they still continued to go up, but it wasn't at the 10% or the average of 3%. They saw like a 0.3% increase. So that to me is very stagnant. The home prices didn't go anywhere. Time will tell what happens. If mortgage interest rates stay in the fives and we have the pent up demand that we had, I still think that the higher end homes, the higher priced homes are going to have the biggest price reductions because we have tons of McMansions. There's lots of very large homes in the United States. We just don't have enough of those smaller houses, those 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, smaller homes that would be considered those starter homes. The affordability problem for housing is at critical mass, is what I would say. And every time I open up more statistics about it, it's getting worse and worse every single day. And the promise of the things to cure it have not come to fruition. And they knew that this was a problem when we were coming out of the last housing crash. They knew it was a problem then. And they were like, well, we'll do this. And nothing ever got done. Everybody kept talking and talking and talking about how they were going to address it. And nothing was ever done. And that's why I always say that it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. When it comes to politicians, they love to talk about it because they gets the people real interested because they're trying to find affordable housing. And then when it comes about, they're like, we're working on it. It's just ending up being more of a problem than we thought. There's a lot of red tape, and there is, but it's up to them as politicians to cut the red tape. That's their job. And yeah. That's my soapbox. I'll get off of it. We're going to continue to have a problem with affordability, no matter what market that we're in. Because even in the last housing crash, the people that were able to find affordable houses were buying foreclosures. And those were the only ones that were affordable at the time. So anyway. Vertically not challenged. I am vertically challenged. We would be fun next to each other. Question. Hi, Kristina. You are the best. Oh, I'm the best. Thank you. We are in a contingent on the sale of our home 3% CC market now. We've accepted an offer and want to put an offer on a home in Maryland before our home does. Well, you can do that. Your bank should be able to write you a letter, but I would really be in contact with the other agent who has the contract on your current house to make sure, like double sure, triple sure, that these people are qualified to buy that house. You don't want to be stuck in a situation where you have both homes that you have to sell. There is something also, if they need a little extra time, you want to talk to your lenders of a product called a bridge loan. They used to do those. I don't know if that's still available, but you want to check with your lender on that. But yeah, that's what I would do. Just make sure, like, and that as a real estate agent, as some of the things you don't know behind the scenes is we're in constant contact with the buyer's lender to make sure that we're on track. They won't tell you too much, but they'll let you know if you can just tell what they're saying without saying it. That's out of experience. If there is trouble in the waters, we always let our sellers know that, hey, before you go and buy another house, I think there's trouble in the water, because I've already talked to the lender, and what they're not saying is alarming. So just know that. The great stagnation, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls. Vivian F says, what is your opinion on Mark Span? Realty buying cheap and selling way over comps in the area. When it comes to people that have anything that's centered around real estate that gets you rich quick, there's always a catch. I would caution on ever believing anything at face value. And if they are just new to the game, I would wait until the actual numbers. If they have a corporation, they have to, they have to file that somewhere. I would definitely be looking into who they are, what they're buying, and if what they're saying is true. Because as you know, in the world that we live in now, not everybody's as honest as we'd like to believe they should be. I've had that happen years ago. I trusted some people that I shouldn't have trusted when we refinanced our house, and we did not know. This is one of the reasons I got in the real estate business. We didn't know what we were signing, and when we refinanced that house, we ended up having something called a prepayment penalty. Luckily for us, we sold our house. But if we hadn't sold our house, we would have had to pay a $30,000 prepayment penalty on our home. And not only that, no one explained to me when we did that refinance, no one explained to me at that time what that whole thing was with the closing costs and what that cost was, right? So when I got my real estate license and I started pulling out that paperwork, I was like, that lender got $10,000 off of us. $10,000. Like, it made me sick to the pit of my stomach. I'm like, whatever happens to that dude, I don't care. And found out later on he was arrested for predatory lending practices. Who knew? Like, big shocker. But I just say anytime something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And at that time, we thought we really got a great deal, but we didn't. It was a big giant hose. We got hosed. But that's what happens when you're young and no one teaches you things, like we didn't have the internet like they have the internet now. And I'll tell you what, these kids, man, they are wised up. They can smell a scam a mile away. So Michael Williams with a $20 super chat. Kristina, I offered $500K for a house and I was rejected because someone offered $550K that couldn't get the loan. They couldn't get the loan. So the seller came back to me. I offered her $475. Heck yeah. They declined. Am I the bad guy? Also, I was still unsold. No, indeed. It is a game of chess. And if the seller has thought that they were so smart getting that offer accepted, and you can't really blame the seller for accepting a $50,000 offer that was more. Yeah, no, you did the right thing. And, shame on the, real estate agent not check to see if the people that were putting in the offer could even afford that, $550,000 offer in the first place, you know? They allowed that seller to accept that and not checking to make sure that they could qualify for that. That's a real shame. I mean, I don't know what actually happened during the proceedings of that specific contract, of course. If they lost their job or they bought a car or something that could have thrown it all off. But nope, I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing. There's lots of houses out there, Michael. There's lots of houses out there. You can find another one. You might even find it one for 450,000. You saved yourself even more. Joe Bass says, just sold a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot home with a carport in St. Pete, Florida. I know exactly where that is. This week for 389. I bought for 129 years ago. See, that's what I'm talking about. And that's another thing too. So people are like, if you buy a house today, in 10 years, it wouldn't have mattered if you bought your house in a high market or if you bought your house in a low market. Everything balances out within 10 years. And that's when I always say, people, if you plan on staying in that house for more than 10 years, you're going to be totally fine. It used to be years ago that people move houses it was so short. It was like 3 to 7 years. And now it's back to 7 to 10 years. And if you plan on staying in your house for 10 years, I would tell you, if you have the money, go ahead and purchase it, because in 10 years I could pretty much I would give you a 99.9% guarantee that your house will have increased in value in the last over those 10 years. You know, I mean, the amount of increase, it could be nominal in comparison, but to the last 2 years. If you think about that, that was just crazy. Some markets seeing over 40% increase in homes when the average was about 3 to 6%. 3 to 6%. Uh, no one could have ever seen a housing market like we just saw. I never thought it would ever happen. Thomas Morrison says, question, I got a full price offer and then got super nitpicky and a dishonest inspection. I did not reduce 20K and insisted as insisted by buyer. I can read, I swear. What do you think? I got a full price offer. And then, so you know what? So the investors do this too. So they'll offer just to win the bid. So they'll say, let's just say the house is 100,000, and they know that there's a bunch of people bidding in. So they'll offer 115,000 just so they can secure the house. So then they do the inspection and they're like, oh, well, our inspector says that it needs a new roof. And our inspector says there's only 1 year left on the hot water heater. And, our inspector says that, you have foundation problems and it's crumbling. If they are insisting that there's $20,000 worth of damages or, repair requests that need to be shown to you, I would ask for a copy of that inspection report so you can review it for yourself, right? I would totally do that. And you can request that. If they're asking for $20,000 off, you need to show that they need to show you the proof that that's what needs to come off. Because if you do have a problem with your, roof or your foundation, you want to address that anyways. But not only that, sometimes, of course, everybody's trying to get a deal, so they overshoot. They overshoot their shot. Did you really need a new foundation repair, or did you just have a little piece in the corner that needed repaired? Did you really need a brand new roof, or was there just shingles missing around one of the air vents? How bad is it really? So yeah, I would definitely look into that. You're not necessarily being nitpicky. You're protecting your financial investment. And if someone can try to get a deal out of you, they're going to try to work you into a deal. But if you're not in any hurry that you have to sell your house, fight back. Absolutely. Don't let people rake you over the coals. It's your money. You don't want to give it away. I don't. All right. What's the next one, Eddie? Got a next one? And you like my big cup? This is a 24-ounce cup from Amazon. I love this cup with all my heart. I bring it out every week. And people always say, "Oh, what is in your cup?" It's hot tea. And the only tea I like is black teas, like PG Tips is my favorite. And I only can find that on Amazon. I used to be able to find it around here, but now I get the big box from Amazon, the 250 little tea bags in there. When it comes in, he's like, "Oh, here we go again." But I love tea. I love it. Oh yeah, see, this is it. Market Watch. Oh, it wasn't 157%. It was just 57%. Foreclosure activities rose 57% from a year ago in November, and was the highest in these U.S. cities. So let me see. Foreclosure process began 20,000. Blah blah blah. We already read that earlier. But go ahead and talk about the biggest cities that had the foreclosures. What's that? Regions with the highest rates of foreclosures. Foreclosure process began nearly 20,700 U.S. properties last month, down 5% from October. Of the cities, more than 1 million residents, New York City, Chicago, Houston, Miami, and Los Angeles led the pack for the greatest number of foreclosure starts. That's a little surprising to me, especially Miami. The cities with more than 200,000 people and the highest rate of foreclosures, meanwhile, were Cleveland, where one in every 1,913 units had a foreclosure filing in November, according to Adam. Ooh, Cleveland is looking. That's a pretty scary place right now. Columbus, South Carolina, where one in every 1,938 units had a foreclosure filing. And Davenport, Iowa, where one in every 2,000 units had a filing. But I wonder what their average is. I mean, what was it pre-pandemic? Was it one in every 1,500? Bakersfield, California, Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I already knew this about New Jersey. New Jersey is the highest number of foreclosures in the country. That state, I guess it's easier to foreclose on in that state for some reason. I'm not 100% sure, but they always have a higher foreclosure rate. Bakersfield, California, Atlantic City, New Jersey also had higher rates of foreclosure filings, in one in every 2,034 housing units and one in every 2,063 housing units, respectfully. Respectively. What is that like? Why is that respectfully? Respectively. Why is that? The wording always cracks me up. The states with the highest rates of foreclosure were Illinois, one in every 2,400 homes, Delaware. Anybody that knows me, I always go freaking Delaware, where one in every 2,700 units had a filing. New Jersey, where one in every 2,900 units had a filing. Wyoming, where one in every 3,237 houses had a filing. I bet you the population of Wyoming is pretty small in comparison to other states like South Carolina or North Carolina. I might have an aunt that used to live out there, and the neighbors were like acres between each other. They're like, "Oh, we're just in the neighborhood." I'm like, "Is your neighborhood like a whole prairie?" Like, anytime you saw pictures out there, I always thought of like Laura Ingalls running down the prairie. And don't go there in wintertime. You'll never find anybody. There's too much snow. Thomas Morrison says, house was built in 1961. Inspector tried to use current code requirements for deck railings, frames of wood. This is not correct, right? I.e., requiring new railings because installed. Okay, so this is a great question. This is one of those things that happens, and this has happened to my husband and I too. If your home, and this was, check with your state. I will say that. Check with your state. But here in the state of Louisiana and several other states, if your house was built in 1991, the house inside should meet the code requirements for 1991, unless it's a safety hazard, like things like GFCI switches, like you got to make sure that those are like near water, those kinds of things. But like we had a set of stairs that went up to from the attic, from the garage. It was just like one of those things that's how you got into the attic. Well, ours were not considered fire rated safety stairs. That wasn't a requirement at the time that we bought our house. So how the heck am I supposed to, go ahead and fix that? We go we go to look to see how much that will cost us. It was over $1,000. And that was like 8 years ago. $1,000 to have fire rated safety stairs going to the attic. And I called up the inspector. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm already giving these people a deal on the house. I sold them the house before we were ready to even sell. I'm not, how can I make this right? And he's like, oh, you could just paint it with fire paint sealant. So yeah, that's all I had to do was paint the outside of the door with fireproof painting material. And that was it. That made it right. But they don't write that. They don't tell you how to remedy those situations. And if you have an issue with it and you're thinking, my God, this is going to cost me a fortune, call the inspector and say, how is this the right way to remedy it? But if in 1991 those fire rated stairs were supposed to be there and they weren't there, then you are required to make it up to code for the time that the home was built. But they can't like make you rip out wiring in your house to bring it up to code, today's code here in Louisiana. Now they can in other states, but that's not how it is here. Nope. No, indeed. Yeah, I can't even imagine some of the stuff that here in Louisiana they still get sold. We bought a rental property, man. There was a lot of stuff in there. It certainly wasn't code. I'm not even sure it was a code at the time that they bought it. Fatima says, what's your thoughts about Blackstone refusing to let investors withdraw? My opinion on Blackstone in a lot of these hedge funds is that they have had a business model that has made them a lot of money. And if they can intimidate investors by doing that, of course, that's what they're going to do. They want to hold on to their money as much as possible. That's what hedge funds do. And they promise a lot to people that invest in them. And in the end, in the long run, if you look it up, hedge funds don't do any better. Matter of fact, historically, they actually do a little worse than your typical person that was just investing in the stock market. You would do just as well, and then you wouldn't have to pay all those fees. Hedge funds are expensive, and they're running a heck of a business. And yeah, I don't have a lot of. There's no love lost with any of those companies. Blackstone, uh, whatever, Black. There's a million of them. There's BlackRock, Invitation Homes, any of those. I don't. Icon, Tricon. They're all greedy. They're all trying to take one over on people. They say that they're providing a service, but really all they're doing is lining their pockets big. And I'm not faulting people for wanting to making money. That's not the point. When it actually is like a disservice, when they're not showing up to people's home that they're renting from, like you hired Tricon, you're renting from them, and they're not coming out and fixing problems. And your rent goes to nothing, and you're getting fined for crazy stuff. That to me is just it's not good business. And there seems to be more people that have gotten extremely greedy when it comes to housing and not doing the right thing by people. So that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. Eggle put up another question. Oh, he said, look at him with his ticker. He's got that on there. Hold on, I'm going to take a big swig. My throat's getting dry. I'm the only one talking today. All right, here we go. Oh, thank you. Question. Do you think prices will continue to drop in Oregon? I'm not sure about your specific market in Oregon. I don't think it's going to be unheard of in 2023 to see some price drops. We're probably going to see more areas have bigger price drops than it's inevitable. There's going to be more areas that have bigger price drops in 2023 than we saw in 2022. So Eddie pulled this up. Oregon home prices increased 13.7% over the past year and 36.3% over the last 2 years. See, almost 40% in 2 years. That's incredible. Here's Zillow's forecast for some of the metro areas of Oregon, except for Portland. None of the MSAs of Oregon is predicted to see home prices decline in 2023. Rising home values and listing prices combined with the inventory, oop, and he's combined with the inventory indicate that Oregon's housing market is tilted towards sellers. This trend is likely to continue for the foreseeable future unless inventory grows faster than demand or the rising interest rates ultimately dampens the demand to that extent. Well, that was very like blanket statement. So my whole thing is this. If you were in the market to purchase a house in a specific area, I would find yourself a real estate agent that's been in that area for quite some time and ask them for a market report in the price range that you're looking to purchase. It's called a CMA and it costs you nothing. You can literally call up about 5 different brokerages and say, I'm looking to get a CMA on homes priced in this particular area. And somebody will be glad to do it to you and email it to you. If you don't want them to harass you, make a junk email account. Give them a fake name so they don't harass you. I didn't tell you to do that, but I told you to do that. Yeah, so you can get a good, clear indication of how much homes are selling for the area. You can ask them for that CMA to show the last 5 years, how much the market has gone up and down so you can see for yourself. If you have a specific neighborhood you want to look at and you're working with a real estate agent, ask them for that CMA again, showing the last 5 to even 10 years so you can see the ups and downs of that market over that 10 years and see if it's on a steady rise all the way up, except for the last 2 years that doesn't even count, but that it didn't go down significantly, so that way you can make a good informed decision for yourself. I hope that helps. I don't know where that noise came from. Sometimes I know I'm crazy. I know I am. Ian says, that is the most gigantic coffee mug in human history. It is. It is. Somebody sent me this, and I show it often, and I keep it up here. I like big mugs, and I cannot lie. And I have a coffee cup that looks like this, but the handle broke off of it, so I can't use it. And then I have another one I have that's like really wide, but the liquid inside gets very cold very quickly. So I just like this straight up and down one. I need to create my own merch. How many of you guys would want me to make my own merch with these cups on it? Let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Make merch for 2023. Max Collins says, question, was under contract with our favorite company, Invitation Homes. Oops. Two structural inspections with 120,000 in foundation work alone, 220K total. Tried to split cost 50-50. Wouldn't even drop 5K. You know what? I'm going to be extremely interested because all of you know that there was some areas that had an explosion in construction across the United States. And I'm on TikTok, but I don't really post a lot on TikTok, but I do follow a lot of home inspectors on TikTok. And there for a good, 6 to 7 months when the market was really hot and home builders were charging a lot of money, there was so much bad work that they were going through and having, they were showing oh, let me show you what on this, $2.2 million house. Let me show you all the inspection things that came up. It was unbelievable. And I'll be interested to see how many people have problems with their houses that were built really quickly, not just because of a delay in building materials, but a lot of them couldn't keep crews on a project as well. So for instance, you would start with one plumber to, do the plumbing under the slab. And by the time your house is finished, you had 3 plumbers that came through. And of course, if that's the case, what's going to happen if there's a problem with the plumbing, not one of those 3 are going to honor any kind of warranties with that plumbing problem. This happened after, when the housing crash happened the last time, when they had explosion of new construction, there was a lot of whole neighborhoods that were having issues. This one neighborhood was never intended to be built in an area that they went ahead and approved it to be built. And these people's homes were sliding sliding. The ground underneath of it was sliding. It was built all on shale rock. So their homes were just falling off their foundation. And it was a big builder. And they were like, oh, we had it surveyed and it'll be fine. And they would not come back and fix these people's problems. They got sued. they got sued. Hopefully those people got their money back because that was ridiculous. Thomas Morrison said, the hot markets will always be hot. This is true. Within 10 miles of Washington, D.C., only went down like 5 to 10% during the 2008. Los Angeles will always be high, etc. Yes. Now, I will say this, though, Thomas, like there were areas for where I lived. I lived outside Orlando, Florida, and my home increased in value in a way that it never should have. And the market corrected itself and it went right back to where it was. It wasn't 135,000 again, but it came down significantly in those 5 years. I think it went down to all the way down to like 175,000 or 180,000. And that guy had bought it from us for 235 and he was able to restructure his loan. But so some of the areas that saw a significant increase that should have never seen a significant increase are going to have they're going to feel like they woke up from a hangover, a housing hangover. That's for sure. I've been saying that a lot. I'm like, I think there's been a few areas. I'm like, ooh, they're going to feel that housing hangover. Outside Orlando, I felt it right after the last crash. I'd be interested to see if that happens again. I mean, my little house that we purchased was built in 1991 but that's not when we moved into it. It was older by that time. And, yeah. Yeah. Question. Debbie has a question. Is next week the last Sunday show of the year? The following 2 Sundays are Xmas and New Year's. Does it fall on Is Christmas on a Sunday? Oh, no, indeed. Oh, my gosh. All right. Let me ask, like, if Christmas is on a Sunday? Okay, let me ask you this. Should I go ahead and do a stream the day before Christmas? Should I do it like Saturday night? Should I do that? No, I go to my parents' house. You guys tell me what you want me to do. Because I want to be here for you. I'll be here for you. These 5 words I swear to you. I mean, we got some important real estate stuff to talk about, but family's important too. That's a really good question. All right, so people are saying that Saturday before. You know what? I'll probably do it the Saturday morning of Christmas Eve. What do you think? Like Saturday morning, let's say around 11 o'clock. Tell me what you think. 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. We can talk about real estate. Enjoy 3 weeks off. Thank you, Mark. But I can't do it. Take it off. Should I do it on Saturday, though? I think, or late Friday, maybe. Smallhorn Christmas special. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We should do Saturday at like 11 o'clock. We all get together. Let's put on some Christmas pajamas. We can all put on Christmas pajamas. I'll even put a Christmas hat on and we'll talk about it. And then, yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, yeah, well, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. We're just going to say, Christmas Eve, 11 a.m., I'm going to wear my Christmas pajamas. I probably won't do it for New Year's Eve, but I'll do it for Christmas Eve because I want to spend a little time with you. Yeah, maybe I should pre-record it, but I like the live action because I love your live questions. Pre-recorded highlights. You know what? I could. I'll do the pre-recorded highlights for the last show of 2022. I'll do that for that Sunday. Yep. Do the Grinch that stole the housing market. And then I could have like hey, you know what? The thumbnail could have like Blackstone, in the background. Like the sunglasses could be on the guy that says Blackstone, and we can paint him green and we put a hat on it and be the Grinch that stole the housing market. I think I'm going to do it. You guys have given me a fantastic idea. You guys are awesome. The 26th and January 2nd are both federal holidays. Yeah, but who follows the Fed? Yep, pre-recorded show. Oh, but how am I going to get the questions? Love it. You know what? If you guys could question only if Eddie and you have matching PJs and we can see you both. Eddie does not like to show himself. I don't know if you know that. Eddie does not like to show himself. He doesn't mind his voice popping in, and every once in a while you'll see him pop in on the screen, but he doesn't like to show his mug, even though he's a good-looking dude, by the way. I married a very handsome man. I like Saturday. I think I like Saturday too because it's not too early in the morning, and I just think it would be fun. I have a Christmas dress that I'm gonna wear that looks like Santa Claus. I'll wear a Santa Claus hat. We'll do the Grinch who stole the housing market, and we'll spend one last live stream together, and then I'll do, like you said, the pre-recorded one for the New Year's Eve one. Yep. So DV Douglas, thank you. You guys are amazing. There's many of you I see out here that come here every single week and support the show, and I appreciate every single one of you. I don't say that enough, and I regret that I don't. And I'm just glad that you guys come out here and support me and Eddie and my family. And I hope that you guys have a fantastic Christmas. But this isn't the last show. Let me just tell you, we still got some more shows going about. Eddie wants me to say thank you to Lawnmower, Debbie Brady, Your Dreams Coach, and Diamond Rush Media. You guys are always here right away, always keeping the chat clean. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys know this. Some of you are kind of newer to the stream, but there was a period of time that the conversations were turned so highly political that I had to shut it down because it wasn't about real estate. Now we can have conversations all the time about real estate discourse, but when it starts, name calling and just people calling each other dumb, and I don't like it. It doesn't solve anything. So they always do that. They always clean up the nonsense. Susan says, pre-record your Christmas show and do the big Grinch but then but I can't dress up. I would look silly for my last New Year's one dressed up in a Santa outfit. I don't know if you like to know this, but I like dressing in costumes. If you look past my way back when, on my oldest content, I used to do real estate skits. And I used to always have costumes on. I have a box full of wigs, and I have a plethora of voices in my head. And I would create these characters and create sketches about real estate. And so the fact that I get a chance to dress up on a stream makes me very excited. Kristina Smallhorn title is the Baby Goats Christmas special. Baby Goats Christmas special? Nah. Is that a goat? That's a lamb. That's not a goat. What does a goat say? Johnny Johnson says, Kristina, you are so much fun. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Joni. I appreciate you. Jane Doe. That's a fun name. Submit questions for a pre-recorded show. You know what? I could do that. I almost did that today because sometimes people's questions, because it gets truncated off. You only have so many characters that some people have a really detailed question. And I was thinking about doing a Google Forms to submit questions. So you know what? When this is done being recorded to live today, what I'm going to do is the pinned comment down below will be a link to a Google form. And if you have any questions that you want answered for the pre-recorded show, we'll go ahead and I will take it from those Google forms. So you can fill that out and I will take it straight from there. And you can decide if you want your name on there or not. Yep. Baby goats bring in views. Do you know what else brings in views? Anything baby, kitten, or puppy, And I brought my kitten in last week. Nobody that didn't bring in the views. Let Eddie dress as the New Year's baby for the last stream. He probably would. We literally have We have no shame. Even my kids know. This is no lie. When we go to the grocery store, my whole family, if there is a song that is playing in the grocery store, we will sing it and jam out and dance through the aisle. We act like there's nobody watching us at all times. We do not care. We do not care. There is a community tab too. I could put it there. That, sometimes when you put a link into the community tab, for some reason, I'm not saying YouTube suppresses it, but it just seems like from my calculations, when you put things in the community tab that has a link, nobody really seems to see that as much. Yep. Eddie's New Year's special. I'd love to see Eddie in a baby uniform. We are totally off the subject of real estate at the moment. CC Moon with $1.99 super chat. Happy holidays. This is my Sunday fun day party. Well, I appreciate you coming in here every week, and you are a lot of fun. Hello, Kristina from the Curitiba, Brazil. Here is 25 degrees Celsius. We're hot here. It's freaking hot. I'm ready for some colder weather.
It's 77 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, thank you. I couldn't figure out the Celsius because we're one of the few countries that actually still do Fahrenheit. I wish we did Celsius because that way I could know. Thank you, Edward. I retitled one of my videos with baby goats. It has 36 views opposed to my original 14 views. Oh yeah, you're blowing it up, babe. You are killing it on the internet. Your kitten needs a Santa beard and hat. My kitten was the most docile kitten. I mean, I could throw this kitten on his back and I could scrub his little belly and the whole 9 yards. He was so gentle, but I think he was working us over because now that kitten today he's learned how to cat. So now he does a little like gnawing thing. He doesn't bite, he does that little, and he will grab your hands. He's kittening now. He's he's learning how to cat. And I really liked him when he was just more of like a doll that meowed. Show the channel some love. Smoosh that like button. Yep, I appreciate it. It's okay. You're ready into your second hour, all by your lonesome. Yeah, I know. We're gonna tie this up. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this alone this week. I know that people have a lot of family parties and stuff, and I didn't want to pressure anybody to come out on the show this week. So it is just me. I like doing these shows by myself though, because then I don't have to. I can say what I want to say, and I don't have to be nice, and you guys don't have to be polite either. And I like that. So, all right, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic week. One last question before we go. What is the prediction for mortgage rates in 2023? My prediction is mortgage rates for 2023 the start of the 2023 is going to be in the 5s. If interest rates stabilize, we could still see the 6 and the 7s. I don't ever think we'll ever in history see interest rates in the 2s again in my lifetime. I could be completely wrong, but that it'd be hard pressed. So anyways, we usually do the prediction show, where I have a bunch of real estate agents that come on there. Last year when I did it, everybody's like, I don't think we're going to see interest rate that's over 3%. I'm like, I think we're going to be at 5.5. And we were like way over that. When we hit 5.5 in the middle of the year, I was like, whoops, whoopsie. So anyways, so long, everybody. Happy holidays. Don't forget, did you go get your Christmas shopping done? You got to do it. Got to get that Christmas shopping done, holiday shopping. And, just do what you got to do. Get some cooking done. Spend some time with the family. We don't have as much time as we think we do. So, don't talk to strangers. Look both ways before crossing. Don't look up when it's raining. Be kind to everybody. We're all stressed out. So, and I'm going to see you next week with my Santa hat on. Or was it not next week? The week of Christmas. You know what I'm saying. And maybe I can get Eddie to dress up there like Baby New Year. That would be hysterical. I'll even make him a big diaper.